Well, good morning, everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal on a very wet Thursday morning. Yay, Thursday. For those of you who don't know, I don't work Fridays, so Thursday is my Friday. And double yay, very important to have the double yay on a Thursday, 58 days until spring. Well, that would be 58 days until autumn if you live on the southern hemisphere, but I think the majority of my viewers are living in the northern hemisphere. However, I want to tell all my viewers in the southern hemisphere, I continue to be envious of the fact that you are in hot sunshine right now while I am rusting in southern British Columbia. It's 4 degrees right now, which would make it about 40, I would think. Yep. I'm getting good on that now. About 40 in American. So it's 4 degrees in southern British Columbia. And as I said, we've got rain. Lots of it. At the moment, it's just backed off a bit. But you know, for those of you sitting on the east coast right now, of America that is, or in fact anywhere up the east coast I would think, they're busy getting in emergency supplies, I would imagine, and hunkering down. Don't you love that word? Hunkering down for the storm of the century type stuff coming in. I believe they're expecting anything up to 2 foot of snow. Now this comes to you with great love and great something. I can't think of the word right now. Oh. From somebody who, if she sees half an inch of snow, you know, is not a happy camper. So the idea of any of you struggling with a couple of feet of snow, obviously you have my full sympathy, and I would remind you there is a reason why I live on the west coast. Even the west coast of Canada. And there's a reason why I live on the southern part of the west coast of Canada. Not in the northern parts, or even the middle parts, where snow becomes a very regular feature. You see, whether we like it or not, unless we are children and have no choice, because children really don't most of the time, unfortunately, unless they've got very unusual parents. You know, you do get to choose where you live. And some of you are saying, I didn't have a choice, Sal, because my husband or wife decided to live wherever. And I'm going, you chose to stay with them. Still a choice. It's the price you paid. So, 58 days until spring. Think about that. If we stood on our tippy toes right now, you know, and then maybe jumped a little, you got the idea, right? And checked over the horizon, I bet you can nearly see it creeping up there. You know, the daffodils and the tulips are out there somewhere. Can you imagine them in the ground right now? You're going, They're probably just waking up. Wonder how long it takes them to fight their way through the earth. Can you imagine them stretching down there, the tulip bulbs and the daffodil bulbs? Actually, well, the crocuses should be up pretty soon, right? And then the bluebells. Those are important. Now, in my life, crocuses come first. Yeah. Because they definitely have come up during snow. Now, I would like to just give out a reminder here that 2 months from now would only take us to March, and I can remember seeing snow in April, so don't let's get too excited. But I mean, just the thought of it is warmer, isn't it? Anyway, so I think mine goes crocuses, in terms of flowers, not in terms of leaves, in terms of actually flowering. Crocuses, my spreading cherry tree, is always a very good sign. I reckon when that cherry tree flowers, we're onto a good thing. I normally say, okay, that's it. We're definitely at the right side of winter now. In other words, we could have a little blip somewhere, but most of it's over. Very exciting. Now, I do have a technical question for today. I know that I've got an awful lot of very handy people in the viewership. You've proven that before, and I've got a technical problem that I'm pretty certain somebody's got the answer to, but I'm not quite sure what it is. I have got two different light fixtures in my life, one in my closet and one in my overhead fan that I have in my bedroom, that have got those stupid toilet chains type. You remember the days when we had toilet chains? Anyway, they got those stupid toilet chains type things, clickers. You know, you have to pull it for the light to come on. Now, in both cases, if you can believe my luck, oops, nearly had a fight with a bus there, it's not a good idea. I will lose. In the one case, I have a way of turning off the light manually, which is a good thing. But in the other case, the light is on, and I can't turn the light off. And I know what you're saying, take the bulb out, Sal. Well, I don't know why, but part of me is more concerned about taking the bulb out and having a live connection going, because it's on. I don't know why. Maybe it's totally stupid, but I'd rather that the light was on. It acts as a very nice little night light in my closet. Of course, I can't shut the closet door for fear of it'll heat or something, and that'll be a problem. So I was just wondering if anybody knows how to fix them. Now, part of me goes, where's the WD-40? Let me put a squirt of that in there and see what happens. And I'm going, it's live, so. Maybe WD-40 and electricity don't mix very well. And I'm pretty certain somebody's going to say, replace the fixture. Which probably isn't a bad idea either. But before I spend all that money on two different fixtures, I thought I'd check with the viewership. Now, I just wanted to say that I'm very, very grateful for the fact that I'm noticing that we're nearly, I think we're now at 42, I think in the last 28 days, 42% of our viewers have been male. Yay, males! Well done. Now, the reason I wanted to give credit to the men for a second, first of all, they might have learned something, the contouring video that I did on the moisturizer and foundation. I always think of Paul, how he sat through that one day. But anyway, I just was really interested in the fact that I think we're up to about 42 or 43% males that are watching the videos. And that is wonderful in my mind, because one of the questions or statements I always used to have when I was on stage as a speaker was the number of females in the room to males. And it was constant. And it was almost as though males did not want to or be motivated as much as women did. Now, you can say, I know what's happening now. I can see some of you rolling your eyes and going, that's because we're married to them. I can see it. Whichever way it goes, it doesn't matter. You see, it's equally funny. Yeah, I can see it now. Yep, silly me. Anyway, for the rest of you who are deeply in love and always will be, because I know you're in there as well, and you'll get very offended by this, and you... But it did surprise me whenever I sort of open and closed conventions that so often, I mean, if it was a totally business convention, you probably have more males, but if it were just what I call, not just, but if it were a personal growth type seminar convention, I noticed that there were always far more women. And that worried me because I can remember saying as far back as even 20 years ago, wow, this is going to cause a problem. And my thinking was that if women were getting educated in these areas, what was going to happen in, say, 20, 30 years? I was dead scared in case the men ended up being in a totally different space from women, because women would be accountable in a different way and aware in different ways. And then, you know, the men are from Mars and women from Venus situation would be far worse. And believe you me, it's already bad enough, right? And so our understanding of one another would be even more difficult. And our patience with one another would be even more difficult. Anyway, so that was my thinking. But I did want to just put out the question about the light fixture thing because I realized that I can probably Google it. But if any of you have ever done it, I'd be interested to know, what is it that gives? Because I've noticed that occasionally my light on my fan, when I forget, sometimes I actually pull it and it works. Just long enough for me to think I've got it fixed and it does it again. So obviously there's something there that gets off kilter in some way, I would think. I don't know, but probably one of you do. One of you does, not do. Gotta hear my mother. Finish the sentence. One of you does know the answer. See, if you finish the sentence, you know which one you should use. All right, so you don't say one of you do know the answer. You finish the sentence, you know which one to use. The trick is to finish it in your head, not out loud, Sal. Before you open your big mouth. Yep. So a very rainy day, which is fine. I always look at it this way. Without the rain, we wouldn't have short winters. You know, if we didn't have rain, we'd probably be bracing for a major storm, like the rest of the country. If we didn't have rain, we wouldn't be able to sell our water. It's California. You see, there are lots of things you get to think about. Now, I'm glad that some of you enjoyed the marshmallow video, and I think at least one person wrote and told me they actually have a marshmallow. So that was cute. Somebody from Spain, or at least a Spanish-speaking person, wrote and said they owned one, or drive one. Maybe they don't own it. But it really was the cutest thing. Now, I tell you one little bit of a problem. My new hitch is on the back of the Jeep, but it is probably a good 6 inches or more sticky outy. Nice technical term when talking about hitches, a sticky outy. It is more sticky outy by about 6 to 8 inches than the previous hitch. Now, you're probably wondering, so? Well, think about it for a second. For those of you who drive cars, am I not right that after years of driving, especially a car that you've had for a long time, you sort of know what the distance between the back of your car and the car in the parking lot looks like? So when you reverse, you know what sort of space to leave. Do you know what I'm saying here? It's sort of like automatic. You're going, okay, fine. That, you sort of look in your side mirrors that apparently were made for that. I can hear people saying, that's what you got side mirrors for, Sal. Yeah, right. But here's the thing. My hitch is now 6 inches closer to the car behind me than it was. Why am I worried about that? I was quite surprised when I looked at it. I went, wow. Now I also noticed that it's got a design change in it. It's got like a sticky uppy bit, not a sticky outy bit, but a sticky uppy bit. They've got a sticky uppy bit that obviously if you get slammed from behind while the hitch is in and not attached to anything, the sticky uppy bit will create a block so that it can't go down the receptacle. Interesting. And presumably not down the receptacle and into the gas tank, which is why they designed this. So I've got to get used to the fact that I've got 6 inches more on the back of my car. And I'm sorry to have smiled right there because, never mind. 58 days until spring. Let's concentrate on that. Obviously, this is going to be one of those days for me where I'm going to find humor in a lot of things that I shouldn't. So I'm going to go and enjoy my day. My word for today would be vision. Let's have the vision to stand on our tippy toes and be able to see across the edge of the world. How many of you would love that? How many of you would love to be able to know what's coming up over that horizon? And some of you are going, better that I don't know some. But I think those of us who are visionaries, and I must admit that to some degree I am one, from my experience of my life. The idea of sort of going, where will this take us, 10 years from now, has always been part of my thinking. And so vision is something that's really wonderful. Now, some of you are what I call in-the-moment thinkers. You're really good about sorting out what's right in front of you. And then there are others of us that are just, we're so far ahead of that game that, to us, dealing with the present is almost boring because it's already here. We like to think about, hang on a second, what about over there? Now, it's not that we're not realistic. And if you think that is true, then think about people like Bill Gates and Steve Wozniak. They you had to be pretty visionary to do what they did. And yet I think Steve Wozniak had to be pretty in the moment to be able to deal with the technicalities of actually building that little Apple computer in that disgusting color that it started in. I wonder why it was that color. I guess somebody will know. Actually, I have to give credit to one of the viewers yesterday who asked the question of me, which is, why do the Brits drive on the left-hand side of the road, quite often known as the wrong side of the road, unless you're a Brit, in which case it is the right side of the road, and then we say no it isn't, because it's the left side of the road. Anyway, never mind. And it was interesting because the viewer asked me, and I sort of read it and went, I don't know why. There must have been a good reason. So I wrote back and said, why don't you Google it? And then I thought, why don't I Google it? And so off I go and Google it, and there was a really good reason why they drove on the left side of the road. And if you think about it, most people are right-handed. And it went way back before cars. And I was thinking it probably went back way before a lot of things. But if you imagine that if you were riding a horse, for example, down a lane in rural wherever, and the lanes were very small, and two horses were coming in opposite directions, you had to know, like you just sort of do in this on the sea, you had to know which way to go. Do you go, if you both go left, then it's going to be a problem. If you both go right. And I think what they did is they went to the side that would leave the right hand available for shaking hands. So whether that was walking down a road or path or whatever, but what they did is they had the right hand available to shake hands or to demonstrate that they weren't holding a weapon. And of course, as we progressed from walking to riding to, I was thinking about jousting. If you think about it, when you watch jousters. Actually, I'm wrong. Jousters actually are on the right-hand side, I think. Yes, because they got the leverage that way. Okay, I was wrong on the jousting thing. Anyway, so, but does it make some sense that they walked in such a way that when they met in opposite directions, they could both shake hands? The right hand was on the inside. Now, the question is, why did the rest of the world, like North America, decide to change it? Do you think they were just bloody minded, like they were about not changing to metric? That's an interesting question. Why did they change it when the founding fathers came over? Did they just say, okay, it's our country, let's do it the opposite way? Let's mess with everybody's minds and do it the opposite way. And they do it the opposite way in Europe too, don't they? Wow. Yeah, interesting. Maybe require more Googling on that one. This is DearMamaSal going, that's how we learn things. Bye-bye for now. And if you think about it, most people are right-handed. And it went way back before cars. And I was thinking it probably went back way before a lot of things. But if you imagine that if you were riding a horse, for example, down a lane in rural wherever, and the lanes were very small, and two horses were coming in opposite directions, you had to know, like you just sort of do in this on the sea, you had to know which way to go. Do you go, if you both go left, then it's going to be a problem. If you both go right. And I think what they did is they went to the side that would leave the right hand available for shaking hands. So whether that was walking down a road or path or whatever, but what they did is they had the right hand available to shake hands or to demonstrate that they weren't holding a weapon. And of course, as we progressed from walking to riding to, I was thinking about jousting. If you think about it, when you watch jousters. Actually, I'm wrong. Jousters actually are on the right-hand side, I think. Yes, because they got the leverage that way. Okay, I was wrong on the jousting thing. Anyway, so, but does it make some sense that they walked in such a way that when they met in opposite directions, they could both shake hands? The right hand was on the inside. Now, the question is, why did the rest of the world, like North America, decide to change it? Do you think they were just bloody minded, like they were about not changing to metric? Huh. That's an interesting question. Why did they change it when the founding fathers came over? Did they just say, okay, it's our country, let's do it the opposite way? Let's mess with everybody's minds and do it the opposite way. And they do it the opposite way in Europe too, don't they? Wow. Yeah, interesting. Maybe require more Googling on that one. This is Dear Mama Sal going, that's how we learn things. Bye-bye for now.